guys, what's going on? I'm Tim with KJ. This is the Real Sports Talks NBA playoff coverage. Thank you to Tom Mullins of BeforeTheKickoff.com for the logo that you see at the beginning of all these videos. Shout out to him and everyone over at BeforeTheKickoff.com. And hopefully Tom continues to make us these great logos and the intros that you see on all these shows. He does a great job for us. The next series that we are going to preview in the playoffs is the number 4 Boston Celtics, who Tom, by the way, is a fan of, and the number 5 Atlanta Hawks. This is a series that is very intriguing because the Celtics have gotten going down the stretch. KJ, you have a big X factor in this series, though. Who will be returning for the Hawks that you think changes this entire series?
The X factor in the series, and the guy who's going to change the series and is just now coming back, will be Al Horford. He is going to be the decision maker of this series. He's going to be the X factor, like we said, and he's going to be the breaking point for either team. And I think he's going to be the reason why the Hawks get the edge in this series, because of his athletic ability and his ability to just be that number 1 center and be that great player down low, which the Boston Celtics don't have any. Play from time to time with a very small lineup with Kevin Garnett at the 5 spot, which Al Horford could easily manhandle him. He's not the man he used to be. He is still Kevin Garnett, but he's not the Kevin Garnett that was at the beginning of his time and the beginning of the Big 3 stage in Boston. So that's the X factor, and that's why I'm picking the Hawks in 7. I'm picking the Hawks in 7. And it's going to be about time that Joe Johnson and his crew of Josh Smith, Al Horford, finally gets in step into playoffs. They've had trouble in the first round ever since they became a elite team, as people would call them. And they're finally, I think, going to get over that hump. They're finally going to break that curse that they have. I don't know what it is, but they've never been able to do that. But I think they're going to do it in 7 against the Celtics. It's going to be a fun series. Anytime you watch guys like Rondo, it's fun because just dribbling around the court, doing crazy things. He's always a great player in the playoffs. And then the other guys, the big 3, obviously, who I believe now Avery Bradley has the starting spot over Ray Allen. So maybe Ray Allen can give some punches off the bench, which can help them pull this to 7. But I'm talking 7. I'm really confident with Joe Johnson and Al Horford this year.
Alright, that being said, though, I think that we forget to mention all the great things that the Celtics have done the second half of this season and how good Rajon Rondo has played on some of these big stage games. I read a tweet the other week that said if Rajon Rondo played on the Sunday showcase game every day or every game, he would have been the MVP, because in those big games he really stepped up. I remember the one myself and KJ did a video on where I think it was against the Knicks. It was a double OT game where he had like 20.
Yeah, triple-double that game.
Yeah, he had like 20 points, 18 rebounds, and 17 assists. I think that you can pretty much count on what you're going to get from Rondo. Obviously, it's not going to be that good, but what you know you're going to get out of Rondo, and the fact that Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett looked pretty good down the stretch, and the fact that Paul Pierce can still take over a game here and there, I think that is enough to get to the second round for this team. Ray Allen, to me, is still one of the best conditioned guys in the NBA and a guy that can step and hit that clutch three. And you know that Ray Allen can take over the game. The great thing that the Celtics still do have is the fact that they do not need Ray Allen to have a great game for them to win. A lot of teams that have these great three-point shooters, I mean, look at what the Knicks have on their bench. If J.R. Smith and Steve Novak, if both of them are really going off the bench, then the Knicks look like an NBA Finals caliber team. If Jeremy Lin's in there not turning it over 8 times a game. And all this is very rare. But if all that goes down, then the Knicks look like a great team. If you take away that three-point shooting, though, a lot goes downhill. In this case, though, Ray Allen is a lot more consistent than both of those guys, and then you also have other guys that could take over the game, and Rajon Rondo, who you know is pretty much going to be the guy every single night. I think all this being said, the Celtics do win this series, and I think it is in 7 games. This is going to be, I think, the best overall first-round series in the NBA playoffs this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the most balanced series back and forth wise, because I think that this is going to be a big back and forth, like game. It's going to be win or win-loss. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Like you said, Rajon Rondo. But another guy that people, have to really look into is Avery Bradley. He's going to be a huge part of this team, a huge part of this run if they can make it. Which, I said before, I still have the Hawks in 7 just because Al Horford's coming back. I feel like this team finally is going to put it together and get over the hump. But this is going to be the most intriguing first-round series because a lot of the other series, like we said before, the Pacers, Thunder, all those series, it's kind of a great seed versus not so great seed, and it's not going to be that fun of a series just because the lower seeds this year aren't as great as they normally are. They don't have that. They're older, declining teams, and it's these new teams that are starting to build up. And I think the Hawks are finally going to get there. I think I don't know how to put it any other way, but I know I've been watching these guys for a while, and they've always had trouble getting there. I think they're going to finally get to that next round.
And then also the one other guy to mention for the Celtics is Brandon Bass, who they acquired in the offseason for Big Baby Davis. Brandon Bass did have a nice season as well for the Celtics in this series. I think it's going to be a great series. Obviously, getting Al Horford back is key for the for the Hawks. And then also you add that on to Josh Smith, who, besides dunking, is also a very good overall player. Although most people are used to just seeing him in the top 10, he's a very good overall player. You add that in with some of the depth that they do have, and I think that they're certainly going to win a lot of games. It wouldn't surprise me if they win this series. The Celtics, a lot of people have tried to make the case that they could make a run, that this is similar to a few years ago. I mean, if people forgot, in 2009 people were saying the Celtics were done, that they were over the hill, all that stuff, and then they went to the NBA Finals. A lot of people are trying to compare it. First of all, I think overall the Eastern Conference is much better. There wasn't a Miami Heat type team back then. There wasn't even a Chicago Bulls level team back then. And I think with all that being said, if you add that all back in to, and the fact that I just don't think the Celtics are nearly as good. They don't have Kendrick Perkins like they did back then. They don't have some of the depth that they did in 2009. And I just do not see the Celtics as more than a first-round team, because if I look at the second round, or I think that they'll win their first round, but I don't think that they have a chance to beat any of the 3 teams that I have projected to go on to that second round. And I'm not going to say who those are, because then you're not going to watch the videos later on, but I think you can take a pretty good guess at who those teams are, and I just do not see the Celtics in a position to beat any of those teams this year. And in the offseason, they do have some tough decisions to make, certainly. At this point, though, it's just about getting through the series and attempting to make a run in the playoffs. You can find us on Twitter at CashKelly_TRST, like The Real Sports Talk on Facebook, and we will see you guys later.